Hey guys, Nomus RC. It's been a minute since I've made a video, and I got in a lot of parts for the X-Maxx. So I had a skid plate that was basically wearing through the front skid plate. So, you know, they have these on eBay where you can buy the whole skid plate kit for a few bucks. So I bought those. We're going to equip all those, might as well. The big thing that has been happening to this machine is my front diff is clicking. And that's even with the upgraded spiral gears and this aluminum diff cover. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have put this thing through some absolutely sick, disgusting, wicked abuse, so I'm okay with it. Like, it has taken, I cannot tell you how many battery packs on these differentials. Since I spent the money on a few really, really nice goodies, I'm going to go ahead and replace both front and rear lower bulkheads as well. Just because I want everything to be brand new, tight, proper tolerances, not stretched, worn, anything like that. So, not only did we get another set of these gears, these spiral gears, that I have equipped before. That's front and rear. I'm only going to do the front today. But I have bought these from Vitavon. So Vitavon just started offering these. What they did before is they sold the upper and lower bulk all aluminum. I would never do that to the X-Maxx because part of the X-Maxx's durability is that it has a lot of plastic. But I'm just trying to stiffen up these diffs, so we'll have aluminum here, and then we'll have the aluminum cover here. Plus, I snap these tabs off constantly. And this piece is not the easiest piece to just go in and swap out all the time. It's cheap. It's like $5 or something. But to go in and swap it out all the time just because you snap one of these tabs off is ridiculous. What winds up happening is after 1 or 2 runs, you snap a tab off, and then you just leave it like that for 6 months, right? And it's fine, right? It's just kind of sloppy. But this is what we're going to be doing. That right there, rebuild the diffs, and then this aluminum diff cover over top of it. That's the front right there, and then here's the rear. So same setup on the rear. These are not cheap, mind you, from Vitavon. None of Vitavon's aluminum is cheap, but it's really durable, good, tight tolerance equipment. But this is the one for the rear. Thing is it supports the center diff and your normal diff as well. And then I also have the aluminum piece that goes over your idler gear right here. You can see it right down in there. Anyway, we're just going to do the front today, see how that works, and then we'll move on to the rear. So first thing I did was pull the tires off, right? And then really, really easy, just take out the 2 screws right here on the bumper, flip the truck over, and take out these 4 screws, and then the whole bumper would just pull off super easy. And then you can actually have access to the differential. So we're going to pull that in a minute and just see how it is. You just pull these 4 screws right here, 3, 4, and then pull out this screw right here for the steering rack. And then you pull out that screw hole right there, and that screw hole right there. So you have 2 that come down from the top, and then you have 2 that come up from the bottom. So these 2 right here were actually held from the bottom, and you remove that by removing that bottom plate that we're going to be swapping out. And then as soon as you have removed those screws, this whole assembly will pull off forward. It'll be completely loose and it'll pull right off. Just like that. So it's really not much. And then you rip your whole front assembly off. And the nice thing about that is then we can put the bulk of the truck away somewhere else, right? You can take this and just toss it over here. And then we have the piece that we care about to work on, and that we're going to swap out the lower bulkhead on. And as you can see, you see how you can see that pin right there for the upper steering arm? That's because that plastic, it snaps off every time. And again, it actually doesn't affect the X-Maxx that much. It's just an annoyance that after 1 or 2 runs, your upper bulkhead is broke. And so this will be, and so I figure, why not? You know, this will make it so that that doesn't happen anymore either. But the main thing, obviously, is we're trying to stiffen up the diffs. Might as well do the easy part first and get this skid plate swapped out. You may notice that I use the Proline bumper. I prefer it. The other one is plenty durable. I just really never like the look of these stock X-Maxx bumpers. Alright, nice brand new skid plate. Alright, let's get this differential out of here and see how good and or bad it is. That's pretty easy. You just got 5 screws, and then you just got to kind of wiggle it out of there. Pretty greasy, so I'm going to throw on a glove here. There's our aluminum cover. We'll get that all cleaned up. Let's pull this diff out of here. You can actually see these sharp edges right here, because the tooth itself has just been worn down. And it's not just one. Now, this is actually kind of nice. We don't have a single tooth breakage. We just have a whole bunch of teeth that over time wore down. So in my opinion, that's kind of a win. Because that's making it more of just a wearable part, as opposed to a part that you install and then it breaks, right? The Pinion has some shiny spots on it. Right, but none of the edges are sharp, and none of the edges are sharp, and none of them are filed down. So actually, this is still a good Pinion. But because I bought all new replacements, obviously we're not going to use it. But it looks like the only wear really happened on the differential itself. All right, so now we'd pull all the little screws right here that hold these pins in, right? These right here, and then punch the pins out and pull them out. There's 4 of them there. And then do the same up here with the shocks. Take out the little screws and then punch the pin out and release the shock out of the way and release all 4 A-arms out of the way. Right? And then we can come over here, and there were 2 screws, one right here and one right here. And then there was 1 screw here. These other 2 were already out from previous deinstall. So then we can pull that out. I actually put a little bit of shoe goo on it right here because I've cracked this piece before. And ever since I shoe gooed it, I've not had it crack on me yet. Now, our shock tower is ready to be just literally pulled right off. And now we're going to get our rack and pinion out of here. You literally just lift up on that and move it out of the way. If memory serves, this one's the same way. Now we can literally take this whole assembly right here with the rack and everything attached to it and just simply move it out of the way. And I'm actually just going to leave it all back all together, just sitting like that, and just set it down on the ground. And then when we go to reinstall it, it'll be super easy. Now we're completely ripped all the way down to the front lower bulk. We can leave this piece on because we don't need it. We will steal the screws out of it. I don't believe that we need this metal piece on the front here, but we'll take a look at the Vitavon. But we will need to pull this 1 screw and take these metal retainers out of here. It does look like we still use this outer metal piece. To be honest, I'm not really sure why they left it like that. They could have done without it, but... And then something that I've seen a lot of people online do is put a bunch of hot glue and a screw in here. I used shoe glue and a screw. And what that does, we're going to do that to the new bulkhead. What that does is if you come around here, you see that there's this post right here. And your steering rack just sits on top of here, right? It doesn't really... But this thing can snap off easily. So by putting a little bit of support under here with a long screw and just gluing it in, because it doesn't have threads, it gives more rigidity to this. So we'll do that on the new bulk. And that's it. The lower bulk is completely stripped down and ready to be thrown away. Alright, so this is the new lower front bulkhead. And I went ahead and jammed a bunch of shoe glue in there and then stuck a screw down in it, like I said. That way it supports this piece right here really well. And let's go ahead and get these pieces right here on here. And then we actually have a brand new one of these. I mean, these things don't ever get worn or whatever, but might as well use it. Yep, this one right here. Okay, so we got the two metal supports back in there. We got this bottom plate reinstalled. And I went ahead and grabbed the main bearings out of the other bulkhead. Cleaned them up because they do actually go right here and here. And what these bearings support is actually the pinion for the ring and pinion. Now, because these Vitavons are aluminum, obviously, every screw that we put into them, we're going to need to Loctite it, or else they're just going to start backing out right away. So just remember, anytime you're putting a steel screw into aluminum, use some Loctite. Alright, so we got those screwed in there. We're going to go ahead and pop this down onto the bearings and down onto the lower bulkhead. We got that seated right down on there, looking good. That is pretty gorgeous looking. Alright, we got those 6 bolts in right there. So this thing is all bolted back on here. Now we're going to go ahead and open up our front differential and install the front pinion right into there. Just in case you don't remember or you get mixed up, the longer pinion is the front one, right? And then as far as the differential gears themselves go, these are both exactly the same, front and rear. So we're literally just going to slide this in here. Just like so. Beautiful. Now let's get the differential ripped apart and put the new gear on it. For installation and assembly of these spiral gears on the X-Maxx differentials, I actually have a different video that is much more detailed than what I will do in this section. So I'll just leave a link below and you can go and check that out. Alright guys, the differential is all rebuilt with a brand new ring gear on it. All nice and still black and powder coated. We'll go ahead and get this installed, get it all greased up. I did completely clean the aluminum cover that goes over the front here. Let's get this diff completely installed and sealed up. Alright, so we got the differential rebuilt. We got it reinstalled into the lower bulkhead. I'm going to go ahead and slap the aluminum cover on. I use Red and Tacky myself for lubricating the ring and pinion gears for the differential. I do not go easy on it. I put a ton in here to make sure that I have as little friction as possible happening inside these diffs, because they are under very high load. So let's go ahead and get this diff cover installed, and then we'll see what the finished product looks like. Again, these top screws are going into aluminum, so we're going to want to put Loctite on them. I already have some Loctite put on here. Alright, we've got them all in there. We'll go ahead and hand tighten the last little bit of them. And then this is looking nice. Let's go ahead and get the steering rack put back on here and lay the A-arms out, and then we'll get the shock tower mounted on. Alright, we got the steering rack laid out. Let's go ahead and just get this kind of positioned here. Get the A-arms where they're supposed to be. So we slip the shock tower back in, put this piece back on, put in that little bolt, and then these two M4s. Let's go ahead and get the lower A-arms installed. Alright. Lower A-arms are installed, and then let's go ahead and get the upper A-arms installed. Sometimes on these hinge pins I like to actually use a small hammer. This makes it a little bit easier sometimes. Alright, let's get these little holders reinstalled. Same on the bottom here. We can go ahead and do the shock tower hinge pins. Alright, the front end is rebuilt. Ready to rock. Let's go ahead and get it married back to the main chassis. Alright, we got that remarried back together. Okay, so once you get the chassis remarried back together, you can put in this bolt right here. And then we can start doing the 4 main bolts here. We can do these 2 bolts here. And then we have 2 more bolts on the bottom. And then we'll put this plate back on, and that's got about 8 or 9 or 10 bolts. And then we'll get the bumper on, and then she's all ready to go. Okay, so we went ahead and installed this bolt right here, the 4 main bolts right there, and then this bolt goes straight down in. This bolt right here goes also straight down in. And then the other 2 that hold the front clip on from the bottom go right here and there on the other side. But those get put on when you put your bumper on. So let's go ahead and replace, since we have a brand new one. Let's go ahead and put this on here. Make it look all pretty. And then we'll go ahead and put that front bumper on. Okay, we just had the 8 screws here, and then we got this brand new skid plate on here, and now we can go ahead and flip the truck around and get the front bumper mounted. Alright, we got the new front skid plate and bumper mounted. Let's flip the truck over and put in the last few screws. Alright, this and this were the last 2 bolts. She's all good to go. Let's get the tires mounted, and then we can give it a run tomorrow. Alright guys, out with the old lower bulk for the front, upper bulk for the front. Beat up old bumper, sorry, skid plate. And now we got some nice new Vitavon goodness down in there. And she is ready for action. We will take her out for a rip tomorrow. As always, guys,